have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world. When you hit that play button, so glad you did. You have found another episode of the Genesis Frequency Podcast with me, Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina, coming at you today and taking a look at moving us along, making those quantum leaps, moving stuff out of the way that holds us back so we can make those quantum leaps. Quantum leaps where? Well, from where we are to where we want to be. That's what this show is all about. This show is about personal and professional development when it comes to what you want for you in your life personally, whatever that may be, what you want in your small business. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow your business, you want to achieve some very specific goals. We talk about those things, or whether you're in the corporate environment. I do a lot of work in the corporate space, anywhere from consumer facing employees to boards and directors and C suite executives, because it all comes down to the way we are wired. The objectives, the goals may be different, but the things that get in our way of achievement, of accomplishment, of goal realization, well, they're pretty much the same, different scope, different level and degree, different variety, maybe depending on what we're working on. Certainly, if we're working on something personally, which could be anywhere from health and physical fitness to finances and prosperity, or perhaps relationships. Maybe we want something in one of those areas, or beyond that, something we just want for us. For our small business, we're looking for growth. It might look a little bit different, those obstacles, in the small business for the entrepreneur compared to somebody that's just working on getting to a target weight, for instance, or the corporate team that wants to change the entire corporate culture. It's still just varying degree. And we still have to look within. We still have to look at cause and effect. That's why I start every show in the same way, just a little play on my last name there. But really, we have to look at cause and effect. So many people, and I've been involved with organizations that look to the effect, that focus on the effect, that stand in the puddle, which is an effect of what? Well, a water leak or the rain, or it came from somewhere, right? The puddle is an effect, and let the puddle represent our financial situation in our small business, or in our corporate environment, or negative, say, culture. Let that puddle be just a representation in your mind of what I'm talking about here. That's the effect. And that's what the show is about, is getting to cause. We live in a cause and effect universe. We live with very, very specific laws that we can work with, work in harmony with, work in alignment with, to produce desired effects. Now, I'm not going to go into all that today, but what I'm going to keep talking about, what we've been talking about, and that's about not letting appearances deceive us into believing in this assumption that we've created. And one of the things I want to do to help us along this path is to look at, what can we let go? What can we release? And no matter what you're working on, personally or professionally, this is an important thing to work on in your life or in your company. What can we let go? Because the reason for this is that we only are dealing with so much bandwidth. Okay, just hang in there with me. So much bandwidth that we operate in during our conscious activity throughout our day, our conscious awareness, call it what you were, conscious awareness, what we're juggling, everything that's on our plate, our attention, right? We only have so much bandwidth. Remember the old radios where we had a dial and we had to tune it in, and we're driving out of town perhaps, going on a trip, and we got that favorite radio station. We don't want to go away. We're excited about our trip, but we're getting about 100 miles out and we got to play with that dial because it's getting fuzzy. There's static and we're getting that white noise. So we keep playing with it to dial it in. Well, that station has only so much bandwidth that it takes up on the frequency it broadcasts on. That's why those stations with a more powerful broadcasting mechanism, whatever that is, we can pick them up for a further distance, and that dial can go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and we're still getting that radio station. That's the bandwidth I'm talking about. What does that mean in consciousness? Well, when I'm talking about letting go, it means we're going to focus on one thing or another. we can't we can't hold a negative thought or have a problem and focus on the positive thing that we want to experience at the same time. And we can there's some of us that can do that to a level and degree, maybe a little bit more. We can maybe call it multitasking than others. But when it comes to our conscious bandwidth and our power of reason and using the intellect, which I encourage you to really get away from using the intellect all exclusively and all the time. When it comes to what we just got going on in mind, in our minds, we only have so much bandwidth. And when we're focusing on what we don't want, we move into that vibration, we move into that frequency, and we take action that's in alignment with what we don't want. And so we experience more of what we don't want. We stay focused on the effect. We kick it. We stomp around in that puddle, right? We don't like it. We're focused on it. How did this happen? What are we going to do about this effect that's right here? And we stomp around in that puddle. And what do? The puddle gets bigger. We cause another problem. It snowballs. So we have to take a look at this. And this comes up for me because in my own personal spiritual practice, this is a time of year I take a look at releasing and letting go. What doesn't serve me? I've already done and talked about on this show the end of December and the beginning of this year in January and even moving into February, identifying what it is we want to accomplish. What are those goals and objectives and those dreams and desires? So we've done that work. And then I talked about a little bit about these appearances and what's keeping us stuck and identifying patterns and programming and paradigms and habits and even beliefs that maybe have no foundation that keep us stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I invited you to go deeper and take a real good look at your habits and even look at some of your beliefs, asking why do you believe in some of the things you believe in? So today, what we're looking at is more of those surface things that that they're taking place. Maybe you don't do anything about them. Maybe they are habits, maybe they are paradigms, but this is still something that takes up bandwidth that you might want to go a little bit deeper with and see if you can let go. In my spiritual practice, I do this releasing and letting go all the time. Now, this isn't about religion. This is just what can I let go of that's taking up room, that's taking up bandwidth, so I can move something else in that would be more effective and more efficient in moving me from where I am to where I want to be. Because if all my bandwidth is focusing on these things I'm going to share with you, well, I don't really have a lot of mental energy to focus on what I want to accomplish. So let's just take a look at these things. And we're not going to go into each of these in detail because there's a lot here I'm going to share with you. But I just want you to see if any of these energetically speak to you as I go through things that we may consider releasing. Now, I'm not suggesting that you harbor all of these things that I'm going to throw out there, but just take a look. Just take a look at your own life, your own events that you participate in throughout your day, and individuals you engage with in your community, at work, in your small business, personally, maybe in your neighborhood or in your community. And just take a look at you, what's taking up bandwidth. Just look at it through that lens, okay? Because what I'm inviting you to look at is letting go. And let's start with, let me just go down the list here. Can you let go of anxiety? Is there anxiety? Is there anger? Maybe there's just apathy. Maybe it's just apathy. Maybe there's some bitterness. Now, again, we're not going to talk about each one of these, but I invite you to just hear them and be open minded to say, hey, are any of these things taking up bandwidth, taking up space in my conscious awareness, my conscious activity throughout my day? Because if they are, well, then focus in on that one particular thing that maybe hits that sore spot or that presses the button. And especially if you say, "Oh no, I'm angry at that person. I can't, and there's no way I can't let go of that." Well, that's maybe one of the things you have to work on. So just notice what you're noticing. Notice how you feel energetically as I move through, excuse me, move through these, and determine if it's some work you need to do and go further. No, you can always reach out to me and I can help you with this list if you do want to go deeper. Successappointment.com gets you on my calendar. All one word, successappointment.com. So, can you release and let go of anger, anxiety, apathy, bitterness? Take a look at that. We can talk more and we will talk more about the process of letting go. But how about blame? This is a big one for a lot of people. I mean, we see this all the time, don't we, on the news? We got to get to the bottom of this. In companies, we see it. Watson, get in here. Did you do this? And it's always finding someone to blame. Well, why? How about creating a culture and an atmosphere of taking personal responsibility? So again, just feel through these. Can you let go of some blame? Well, I wouldn't be in this condition unless if they did their this thing or they did their job or they did this or if they wouldn't have done that. Can you let go of that blame? That's a big one for a lot of people, a lot of companies. Well, can you let go of busyness? Boy, I know a lot of people that really need to take a look at this. I'm just so busy. I can't get done. I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy. Well, is being busy being efficient, effective, or you're just being busy? And don't forget, being busy doesn't always mean that that's the most effective way to accomplish something, to make that quantum leap, because again, we only have so much bandwidth. And in that bandwidth, are we making the room for self care? Are we taking the time for us? Are we taking the time to breathe mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? Can we let go of busyness? I assure you, it's going to get done. Let go of busyness. How about letting go of chaos? We know order is heaven's first law. And when we talk about heaven here, again, not religion, we're just talking about that state that, hey, everything is how it should be. Everything is in order. So is there some chaos we can let go of? Maybe it's just on our desktop or in our filing cabinet. Can we let go of some chaos? Just identify what's taking up bandwidth. How about competitiveness? Are we competing with somebody within our own company? And I'm not talking about the sales guys trying to get number one. Well, there's that, but we can step away and release some of that competitiveness and work on doing things together rather than competing, coming together for the same purpose, the same cause. We talk a lot about this when we talk about corporate culture. How about this is another one that's big, and I'm going to just take a few of these as we move through the next few episodes and go deeper because there's a lot more to go. What about complaining? Talk about taking up bandwidth, complaining and criticism. Criticism, a big one is criticizing ourselves, but look at complaining. We sit down at the lunch table and buy the water cooler. We don't know what to say. Maybe we're not great conversationalists. So what do? We are programmed to find something to complain about, right? That is taking up bandwidth. When you are complaining, you are not in that creative space of designing solutions, designing the life you would love to live. So work to let go of complaining and criticism. Let go of discontent, always focusing on what you don't have and what you don't want. Let go of discouragement, being discouraged all the time. The poor, pitiful me that, I take a step forward and then it seems like that's blame, push me back 3 steps. Can we let go of that discouragement? Can we work on inner encouragement? Can we let go of doubt and drama and fears? We can have a whole sub list underneath fears, right? Fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of illness, fear of lack, you know. And then we move into, can we let go of just being indecisive, right? Indecision. Not deciding is letting the universe decide for you. Is that something that is taking up bandwidth? When you're mulling over a decision, should I do this? Should I do that? And going back and forth endlessly, rather than letting your answer be yes or letting your answer be no, you're taking up bandwidth, right? Make the decision. I do a lot of episodes. Just go to the website, Key and Decision, and you can find plenty of episodes where I talk about deciding. Can you let go of that indecision? Can you let go of insecurity, maybe? Can you let go of judgment, not just other people, but for yourselves? That judgment goes hand in hand with criticism. We're always, boy, we're our own worst critics, aren't we? Banging ourselves in our head. That's just reinforcing what we don't want about ourselves. There's no failure, there's no mistakes if we look at them in the light of there's something good in everything. So let go of some of these things and we can keep going and we let go of thoughts of limitation. We've been talking about that in the last couple episodes, to think from the infinite rather than think from a limited place in consciousness. Oh, I can only do this. This is all I have to work with. No, you don't. You have the infinite to work with. Your potential is infinite. You've only scratched the surface. Can you let go of negative thinking? Can you can you let go of finding why it can't be done? Can you let go of that? All taking up bandwidth. Can you let go of old, outdated beliefs? Listen to the last few episodes. Can you let go of just always saying, I am overwhelmed? That goes hand in hand with that busyness, doesn't it? I'm just overwhelmed. Let go of some of that. Work to let go of that. We're getting to a place of cause where we can have that space to breathe, to move in what we really want. Can we let go of some things in the past that are taking up bandwidth? What happened in the past that is just dominating our conscious awareness at all times? And how about perfectionism and just being pessimistic? Just that Debbie Downer attitude, a pessimist. The sky is falling. Been around a lot of those people, and I'll tell you, it's draining and it's contagious. Take a look, be honest with yourself. This is about taking responsibility and letting go. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's got all these things and I got to work on letting go all this stuff, but find what is resonating with you, what speaks to you energetically. Say, yeah, I do. That does take up my day. Or just notice after listening to this episode, what is taking up bandwidth as you move throughout your day? Is it any of these things? And then just notice it, because maybe you're in the right place at the right time. We usually always are. And you're hearing this and you say, I never noticed that, but I do need to let go of this blame. I do need to let go of complaining because I just move through my day as an observer, right? We're just moving. I'm inviting you to move through your day as an observer and just notice where your bandwidth is being used. Okay. resentment, resistance, self-pity, shame, sorrow, stress, struggle, worry, all of these things. Where are you? What is taking up bandwidth? It's really important because we want to use the energy we have, the power that's at our disposal, this infinite potential that's available to us. We want to use all that available bandwidth. If you're on this path of personal and professional development, we want to use all of our bandwidth to help us make quantum leaps, to focus our energy designing and affirming the life we would love to live without letting any of these things pull us down. Because none of these things are positive, none of these things are supportive. So look at it in that light. We're already out of time for today, but let's just be aware. Let's just observe and notice, and then we'll talk more about how we engage in the process of letting go. Because this is really, as I mentioned, I've been doing this in my personal spiritual life for a number of years. And I look at it in, it's the time of year I do it because we're moving into springtime and it's like pulling weeds and planting flowers. So this is the pulling the weeds part. This is getting the fertile soil of our mind prepared for everything we talked about the first couple months of this year for what we want to accomplish this year. And maybe you're off to a great start. Wonderful. Leave it in the comments section. Maybe you're still stuck somewhere. We got to pull those weeds. But when we pull those weeds, we want to tend that garden. We want to plant some things that we want to grow so we can reap the harvest, right? So, hey, we're going to wrap it up right here today. Just want to remind you, reach out. Successappointment.com is just my calendar. It's not a sales page or a website. It's just my calendar that'll open up in your time zone. You want to talk about this, we'll identify what it is you want, what's keeping you stuck, and set you out on a plan to accomplish much more quickly what you want to move into your life experience. Or maybe you want to talk about a workshop or a program or keynote speaking or a presentation or some training for your business or your corporate team or your staff or your employees or your customer service. Been a big one these last few months. Whatever it is, just reach out. Let's have a conversation about it. And I can help move you from where you are now to where you want to be, whether it's for you individually or your small business or your company. And don't forget, if you love this field of personal and professional development and you'd love to move into the laptop and cell phone lifestyle, go to successocean.biz. Check out the new video I just posted in there recently. And no, you don't have to do a podcast. And it's not multi-level marketing, but it's very lucrative. Check it out. Check out the video. And if you want more information, there's a form to fill out in there as well. That's going to do it. This is a wrap. You've been listening to the Genesis Frequency Podcast and Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmina, signing off and wishing you an infinitely spectacular day. God bless you.